Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, your breakfast bankroll from Cape Cod to Cancun, from Tampa to Taipei, from Vegas to the Vatican. We got you covered from start to finish, from opening to closing lines, your weekend recap, and much, much more. Some quick ECSI housekeeping, Circa update, 4-0 so far this week. Saints +3, Browns -7, Dolphins +4, Rams +1.5, all come in. Tonight we close with the Eagles +3.5. So currently for this year, the Circa Millions, we are 10-4. A show that I do with a good friend Pop DiBiase, the NFL Bet Exchange. Third straight week, right now 10-5, and for the year 32-15 with 7 outrights, plus 130 or better. Last night we closed with the Packers plus the 160, so hitting over 66% there. And NFL's been very, very good to us so far. But without further ado, the host, the co-host, from the Palm Tree State himself, my man, Mr. Scott E. Webb. Scotty, my brother, what is up today?
How you doing this morning, Jeff? Sounds like you're having a great run here.
NFL is so funny. You know, we are finishing up our 6th full year at ECSI, and NFL is one of these hit or misses. I'm going to be honest with you. It's a game that obviously is a big part of our business, but it's a game that we like to tread lightly, especially when we come into Sundays, hopefully up so we can play around what we call with an action parlay. Yesterday, we get beaten overtime. Our action parlay consisted of the Saints plus 130, the Browns just to win, and we had the Dolphins plus 160 instead of taking them plus the 4 there. So up 14-0, and then they couldn't do anything right. And the field goal missed right at the end of the half comes back to bite them. But overall, for the week, it was good. For NFL contests at the Circa was great. With Pops at the NFL Bet Exchange, couldn't be better. But overall, happy with it. Any given Sunday. And it should be called any given Saturday, too, what's going on in college. I mean, 31-point dogs winning outright. It's kind of crazy there. But a lot that I want to talk to you about today. I got to start in MLB. I have to start the Cardinals, 16 in a row. We talked about them the last 2 weeks. I actually reached out to some people the last 2 weeks. I said, pencil it in. It's going to be Wainwright or Flaherty versus Mad Max, most likely. What's the Pika headline there? To think about the fact that, you know, a team coming in, even going into this week, you know, could be, I don't know, let's just say they go 500, 20-3 to end the season, you know, to face the reigning champs in a one-game winning in or losing golf and get ready for spring training. And of course, the Yankees sweep the Red Sox, take the one-game lead now. Back end problems again on Saturday and Sunday. But assess the weekend, MLB, thoughts about the Cardinals, Yankees, or what you're thinking right now, Scotty?
Yeah, I'm mad at the Cardinals. I have them on an under for the season, and then they go win 16 straight games at the end of the year. So I'm not real happy with those guys. But I think that what really shows in the National League more than anywhere else is that playoff spot. Once San Diego really hit the skids like they are now, I mean, that's really a 500 team if you really think about it. The Cincinnati Reds, the Philadelphia Phillies, the St. Louis Cardinals, all those teams had the opportunity to really take advantage of that spot, and no one did. Other than, I mean, if you think about what the Cardinals did, everybody laughed at them because they got Lester and they got Happ. and those guys have been just dynamite for them. So what did the Phillies do? I don't think they did anything. What did the Reds do? Well, they didn't do anything. So they didn't go after it, and those teams are now on the wayside, outside looking in. Of course, the Phillies still are in the race with Atlanta, and if I'm not mistaken, I think the Phillies play Atlanta in the last series of the year. So that still has them, outside looking in, but they're still there. What I find interesting in the American League is that this thing's not over. The Yankees play 3 against Toronto and then 3 against Tampa Bay. So that's a pretty rough spot for them, but it also allows them to control whatever it is they want to control. If they want in, all they got to do is win. So I think that puts them in a good spot in relation to that part of it, other than they got to go win. So the other part of that is, and I'm going to look at the numbers here for a second, and it don't matter. So unless the Rays were looking to have to battle Houston for the best record in the league, which they're not going to have to, they're going to win that. Those games against the Yankees at the end for Tampa Bay are going to be meaningless games. So how much rest do they give their guys? What starters do they not use? Of course, then they bring up a guy like Baz and what the hell ever. So, it is what it is. I think this is going to come down to Toronto and Boston. And if you look at what Boston's got ahead of them, they play Baltimore, right? So I mean, that's a pretty good spot for them to be in. And then Toronto's got to play the Yankees. So I think that they're looking on the outside looking in, so to speak. But looking at Fangraphs numbers, Fangraphs says the Red Sox are going to win 91 and the Blue Jays are going to win 91, which would then mean we have a play-in game. So if we had a play-in game, holy cow, that would be just another layer to this season that I guess we should expect, right?
I looked at some numbers yesterday, just intrigued. Pennant numbers, World Series numbers, and it comes, to the playoffs. The Houston team just intrigues me. I assume Mattress Mac will be back into the social media as we get closer to next week. Just looking at the potential matchups. What intrigues me is we have some futures here on the White Sox. We have a future with the Rays, but look at front three, look at speed, look at defense, look at bridge, back ends. I mean, the White Sox set up just as good as anybody. And then your Rays team, like you said, I'm chuckling with the Baz comment because we were talking about him now the last 2 weeks. No one wants to talk about you guys. No, it's just plug and play. And the kid's amazing. You added Cruz. You got arms and more arms. And I expect Rosiona, whatever his damn name is, to get hot again. And are we going to be looking at a Rays Astros? And then in the National League again, everyone's assuming the Dodgers are going to win, and then no one's given the Giants any respect all year, and they just keep doing it. If you had to pick a World Series matchup, would you play it back again, or do you have someone in the weeds looking, that are going to sneak through here?
Well, it's kind of an interesting thing because the White Sox, everybody's like, well, maybe they're too young, maybe they don't know, maybe blah blah blah. Well, they made it last year, so that they've got at least 1 year of playoff experience under their belt. Houston is one of those teams that I know that they have offense and all that stuff, but when it comes to the playoffs and the World Series and how baseball works, it's about where you're starting pitching and then what you can do in the middle relief to try to get to the back end. So I don't really like Houston in the sense that McCullers is a good pitcher, but I don't think McCullers matches up to some of these guys that he might be facing. And then you start to look at the Garcias of the world and all these other guys that they're going to try to throw out there. And I don't think that they're going to be in a spot where they are favorable as a pitching matchup. But offensively, I mean, obviously they're one of the best offenses in baseball, if not the best offense in baseball. But how do you count out the White Sox offense? I don't think you can count out the White Sox offense. And then you got their back end is really good. So I think the matchups in the American League are intriguing because all of these teams are good. I mean, if you really start to break it down on paper, the Rays are the ones that are mismatched that don't look like they should be even in the thing, and they got the best record in baseball. So it's just a functionality weird thing. And I don't think many teams are expecting the Rays to actually come out ahead or anywhere near where they're supposed to be. I think that and then this is going to be a tough thing for me to say, but in the National League, I think that the San Francisco Giants have been one of these teams that have played over their head all season long. They've got the veteran guys to come up and get key hits in key times, and they've had good pitching most of the season. But then you start to look at what is that pitching, and if you're going to throw Webb and Gosman as your best pitchers, do those guys really match up in the National League to the talent and level of pitching that you're going to see from say the Dodgers or I just don't know. I think their run might be pretty short-lived in the playoffs. Now, if they can get in as the West champion, that at least allows them to play a series where they don't have to play one game and then they're done. So I just look at it from a perspective, Jeff, that this is going to be interesting. I think that people might be counting out the Braves too if they make it in there. The Braves are a team that have been there year after year after year, and they got Charlie Morton at the front end, and some of these other guys, the younger guys, are starting to Fried and Anderson, and some of these guys are starting to pitch. So if they can get a little bit of pitching to go, that's a pretty dangerous lineup too. So I kind of like the idea that this is going to be an interesting thing, and who in the world is talking about Milwaukee besides nobody, right? And they only got the best pitching of everybody. I mean, it don't matter. I mean, you can put the Dodgers up there against that. They got three guys that are Cy Young type guys this season, and it's all about that, and who wants to face that team. So it's I think it's going to be exciting and fun. I can't wait to see the series matchups and start playing them out and get my spreadsheets ready to go and kind of figure out what's going to happen here.
Change gears to the NFL. Favorites 5-9, overs 4-10, big dogs at cash. Saints plus 130, Chargers plus 260, Falcons plus 130, Bengals plus 130, Vikings plus 125, Packers end at plus 160. I always talk about Sundays, quicksand Sundays, and when in doubt, the public's the degens. It's the favorites and the overs. They took it on the chin yesterday. Tucker from 66 shots. I tell you, I just feel for the Lions. They just find different ways every year to lose. I got Tucker in all my fantasy football teams. And listen, that's a touchdown plus a spike that I called it. 6.6 points for that kick. He's just amazing. Always draft him early. I don't care. But in general, NFL playing out like it usually does. The teams that we expect are going to do well, struggling. The teams that you don't expect to do well, all of a sudden 3-0. And the Kansas City and Mahomes 1-2. And honestly, I think they should be 0-3 because I think the Browns should have got them the first week of the year. Thoughts of yesterday? What sticks out? Surprises? Look ahead. How you feeling after yesterday in the NFL?
Well, I think that there's some new blood going on here. I think And competition level and who they're playing and stuff like that kind of matters too, to a degree, because some of this hasn't really played out to fruition yet. But um, you know, the Cardinals having to play that game against the Jacksonville the way that they had to. I mean, they tried a 68-yard field goal, Jeff, and they didn't make it, and Jacksonville ran it back for a touchdown, for God's sakes.
On my Twitter timeline, I said, fire this clown at halftime. That was the Alabama Auburn, all played back. Listen, if you had Tucker in a dome, maybe, okay, maybe, okay. You got a guy who's outside in Jacksonville, probably humid. It was just, what are you doing? The guy couldn't win in college anyways. Okay, now you bring him into the NFL, and then they had the number one pick the year before. Then they take Murray. Listen, if you can't win with Murray, listen, you just start acting now. But it's common sense. And Urban Meyer, the same thing. A college coach, couple years out, now trying to run. I think his college offense, meaning this: the only way Lawrence is going to succeed, okay, you got to establish the run. He's got a good guy back there with Robinson that can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can make things happen, okay? But he's trying to do it ass backwards. Let Lawrence try to stretch the field and throw it through these small windows, and then we'll try to run. But the coaching in the NFL, there's always every year 8 coaches that get fired. So maybe this year there'll be 9.
So that game was an interesting game to me, just because I think that was a game that, and maybe the Cardinals in the past maybe lose. So they overcome some adversity, they overcome their head coach, they overcome whatever, and they win the game. So that tends for me to think that they're in a progressing in the right direction kind of way. The Cincinnati Bengals, I think, are progressing in the right way, and it kind of shows you how good Joe Burrow probably is, or what he means to a team. I thought the Steelers, they look pathetic. That's 2 weeks in a row, and I guess a good question would be is after watching the Bills play, and you and I talked yesterday. The only game I really liked was the Bills, and I'm like, holy crap, how am I only liking one game, and it's a -7, for God's sakes? But yeah, they go out and win by 20-something points. I don't know. But how did the Steelers beat the Bills? I mean, the Steelers beat the Bills in week 1, for God's sakes. So some of the stuff is a little interesting. I'm interested in what the Raiders are, because the Raiders defense is better than it's been in the last, I don't know, probably 30 years. So they've always been offensive minded. Not that they're the best offense in the league. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that's just an interesting team to keep an eye on. The Denver Broncos, what are they? I mean, they're 3-0, but who have they beaten so far? Teddy Bridgewater's ranked the best quarterback in the NFL currently. So is he really? All that kind of stuff. And one of the other teams that's surprising to me is the Carolina Panthers. That's a team that just keeps winning, and their defense is really good. So I want to see how really good it really is. So I think the NFL's got a little bit of new blood in there. I mean, how often did we talk about the Panthers and we talk about the Broncos and stuff like that in a good way? Over the last few seasons. The the Los Angeles Chargers, they're a little bit different now without that head coach that they had. They seem to be winning some of these games that they always gave away before. So I think the NFL is going to be exactly what it always is. It's going to be a parity league, and anybody can win at any moment in time. And, if there's just a couple of teams that aren't in it. I mean, the Jets, they're nowhere near any good. The Giants aren't any good. The Jacksonville Jaguars aren't any, some of these teams just aren't any good. But those are what I've seen so far.
I can piggyback on a bunch of those with you. Again, they haven't the Denvers of the world haven't played anyone. Carolina now with 10 days off now with McCaffrey out, at least probably 2 to 3 weeks. They haven't put him on the IR. But again, you get off to that good start. I don't think you're going to rush him back. Patriots lay an egg, and it's not a good matchup for them. Obviously, with the Bucks coming in, Brady 69 yards away from breaking the record there, which he will do at Foxborough. Great win by the Packers. 49ers and Jimmy G show some resiliency down 17-0, and to come all the way back. And great kick by Crosby. Again, you give a quarterback with the caliber of like Rodgers, 37 seconds, no timeouts. I'm sorry, and he's got the relationship now with Adams. He's going to find the spots in the defense. If you play that bend, don't break in the soft defense, completes 2 passes to Adams, spikes the ball, and Mason kicks the ball through the upright for the win there. But I talk about tonight here, Philly at Dallas. The line's 3.5. Let me get the spread up there. I'm going to walk through some numbers for you. Opened at 3.5 minus 105. Still 3.5, 105. Your team totals for the game, 23.5 over minus 115. Dallas at 28. You're under over currently at a 51.5, which opened at 52. It's a home opener for Dallas. Dallas D is another one of those Ds that you talked about, the Raiders. I think the Dallas D has shown some improvement. They played a great game against your Bucks, and then they went to the Chargers and played well there. I could see Dallas early and often here. We're on the Eagles in the Circa contest. I don't know what Hurts we're going to get. It's a divisional game. If Philly can win the turnover battle, if Jalen can be comfortable, move the ball, establish Sanders, I think, we could be in for a game. I think the Philly D will be the key here. Are they getting pressure on Dak? Are they getting him out of his comfort zone? If you let Dak sit in the pocket and just stretch the field, with Cooper, with CeeDee Lamb, establish Zeke, and then Pollard's looked great the first 2 weeks. If you're going in there trying to outgun them, I think it's going to be a long day. But numbers-wise, thoughts initially on this game? Any leans? Anything that you see here tonight, Scotty?
Yeah, I kind of like these divisional matchups, especially on a Monday night where, the public's going to probably be all on one side here. So I think just what you said, I think that Dallas has shown well, and I don't think that anybody's really paying attention to what the Eagles have done, and theoretically, over the course of the summer and through everybody was like hating on these teams. So, they didn't like the head coach. They actually have the Eagles predicted below, Washington and kind of battling with the Giants. But this is a team that's way better than the Giants. And this is a team that is probably way better than Washington from what we've seen. I mean, Washington is a team that, came in with all about how great their defense was, and then they're getting blown out by every team they play. So their defense must not be that good. So I kind of like the idea that Philadelphia's going to play, and they're going to come to play. And I think this Jalen Hurts, not that let me say this the right way. He is not an elite quarterback. That's not what I think. I think he's a playmaker. So he puts himself in a position that allows that team to be competitive in this environment because their defense is good enough that Dallas's defense, even though it's improved, I don't think that it's improved to the point in which Jalen Hurts can't make plays. So I think defensively, the Eagles have the advantage, and I think that if you're really going to start to kind of look at it from a certain level, they've seen each other 8 million times. But Jalen Hurts is that guy that can make the plays that keeps them in the game and gives them a chance at the end. So I'm liking the Eagles in this game.
Same here. Again, I don't know what, Eagles first two games at home, Dallas first two on the road. Dallas has played the better competition. I'm looking right now as we speak at my Dawn Best sheets and spreadsheet. 73% are on the over, of course, and 59% are on the Dallas. And as we were talking, Pinnacle has just adjusted their line to Dallas now -3, -117. So we're starting to see, even though there's a 41 percentage on Dallas money, we're starting to see a little sharper, heavier money start to leak in on Philly. Again, if you can grab the 3.5, I always suggest, 3.5. Yeah, you're off the 3 number. 4 is also a key number. Suggest to buy the hook if you wanted to get that to a flat 4. Also, sprinkle a little beer and pizza money on the plus 160 as well. Again, I think you're going to know early in this game which Jalen Hurts, how is the front 7 of Philly doing versus the front 7 of Dallas. Are they able to get them off the spot? Are they able to, put some pressure on them? And again, the big key in our eyes here is that turnover battle. I mean, you can't go in there and throw 2 or 3 picks and expect to win tonight, Scotty.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think turnovers are a key in any game, and unless you're Wilson from the Jets or something, you're not really going to be able to predict how many turnovers that guy's going to have. I mean, what does that guy got? I mean, he throws like 3 or 4 interceptions every week. So I think that this is going to be. I don't want to say it's going to be conservative, because I think Dallas is starting to open things up a little bit. I just think that the Eagles are going to have to hold to field goals, and they're going to have to score a couple touchdowns. But I think that's what's going to happen. I mean, I don't like Dallas's defense. I never have liked. Well, I shouldn't say never have. I haven't liked him for a little while. And I don't necessarily 100% like the decision making that the head coach for Philadelphia makes. So I think we're a little disadvantaged there, but not by much, because the McCarthy, the guy in Dallas, he doesn't make great choices either. So I mean, looking at EPA, right? So expected points average, it's defensively is a big edge to the Eagles, and offensively is a small edge to Dallas. So that tends for me to believe this is going to be a relatively tight game. I think it's going to be a pretty close game. Both of them, and that was kind of the interesting thing for me, was both of them are well above average on offense. And one of them, being the Eagles, is well above average on defense, and Dallas is slightly below average on defense in that category. So I like the idea here. And when I did the same comparison and looked them up on quarterbacks, what was interesting to me was Jalen Hurts is the 6th ranked quarterback in football, and Dak Prescott is 15th right now. Now, keep in mind that that's got Tyrod Taylor in it still, because, he played the first couple games and he was really good. So, Bridgewater, Mahomes, Murray, Stafford, and then Jalen Hurts. I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty good to be up in that category. And found it pretty interesting that his completion percentage is 70.9%. on an expected completion percentage of 66.5. So that means he's completing more balls than he should be. And when you look down at Dak Prescott, his completion percentage is good as well. I mean, it's 77%. That's not terrible. That's really good. So what his problem seems to be is success rate's only 55% through the air for him. And Jalen Hurts is 56% through there. So successful plays, the EPA adjusted, I think is really good for the Eagles here. And air yards matter too. I mean, you're looking at 8 air yards for Jalen Hurts, which means he pushes the ball down the field a little bit. Dak Prescott's only 6. So that means you're getting a lot of dump off passes to the backs. And I think that the Eagles probably have a linebacking core that can handle that. We'll just have to see how it goes. And I like the idea here that the Eagles can be competitive in this game.
I'm going to close with this, Scotty. I'm just looking at some of the lines this week. I thought the Patriots-Bucks, they'd open up the Bucks at 6.5, knowing that the public's going to just push that to 7. They actually opened it at 5.5, which is surprising to me. Should be probably most likely 7 at kickoff there. Comically, Bills are opened at 16.5, now 17 against Houston. But the eye opener here, Baltimore at Denver. We were just talking about Denver. Who have they played? Now, if I remember this correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, Denver opens up at the Giants, then they play Jacksonville, then they just played the Jets.
Yeah.
Okay? Baltimore loses a heartbreaker at Vegas, beats Detroit at the buzzer, and beats Kansas City at the buzzer. Baltimore only opens up a 1-point favorite at Denver, and now Denver's minus 1.5. That's an eye opener to me. I don't know about you, but that's showing an awful lot of respect to the Denver team.
No question that it is. I don't know if it's respect to the Denver team or disrespect to the Baltimore team. So I don't think Denver's as good as that. So although when Football Outsiders has Denver now winning 10 games, and the market at the beginning of the season didn't think they were going to win 10 games. They thought they were going to win more like 7.5, 8 games. So that's a big jump. And has Baltimore moved down from where they were. So you have one team that's getting maybe respect that they shouldn't get, and another team that's lost respect that maybe shouldn't either. But that just goes to show you that line is now based off of those two teams winning about the same number of games for the entire season. Now, keep in mind that Baltimore, based off of their wins and losses last year, are going to have a tougher road to hoe than what Denver is going to have. But at the same side of that, I don't see Denver as being the same team as what Baltimore is. I think they just have more options in Baltimore. Now, I've never been a big Lamar Jackson fan, so I mean, I'm not saying he's not a good quarterback. I've just not been a fan of them. I think that when you have a quarterback that is 80% of your offense, and he's not having a good day, you're not going to win. So then that becomes reliant on your defense, and their defense has not been stellar so far this year. It's been good, but it hasn't been, the standard Baltimore defense. So interesting game. I would certainly have not expected Baltimore not to be the favorite. They were at the open. Now I don't understand why people are betting on Denver. But I guess that's why they play the games, and that's why we bet on them, right?
Oh, any given Sunday, my brother, any given Sunday. As we talked before the show, the MLB schedule is kind of brutal. A night to just sit back and watch. I was just gonna end with this. Last week, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, we got into the Oakland-Seattle at Oakland. I think we had Irvin first 5 against Flexen, and Flexen was flexing his muscles. I mean, Oakland couldn't. I think they had 6 or 7 strikeouts through the first 5. I think they pushed 1 run across, and I think Seattle had at least 4 through the first 5. But it's kind of a tough menu. So what I'm going to do here is this: basically, tell everyone watching and listening to enjoy the NFL. Maybe throw up some baseball games if you want. Just sit, watch. It's a good night for popcorn and peanuts and Cracker Jacks and all that good stuff. Myself, Scotty will be back tomorrow. we'll hopefully have a better grasp on the MLB card. We'll go over hopefully the Eagles cover, if not win outright, and maybe a few Pika headlines for the weekend coming up. Always remember this: if you're wagering, always wager with your head, not your heart. If you have a problem, pick up the phone. There's plenty of help out there, and people that are there because they care. And on social media or on Twitter, follow myself at EC Sports Invest and Scotty at Webby20 MLB. DMs are always open. Any questions, just send us an email at eastcoastsportsinvestors@gmail.com. So from myself and Scotty, we wish you a blessed day. Cash some tickets, and we will see you in the morning.